Hello guys, welcome. It is Bold TV and good to see everybody. Alright, so today I'm just going to go back on this book. The title of the book is What Does Trust Mean to You? Basically, if this is your first time in this channel, I like to do book review on some of the books that I write. I do mainly storytelling, and including kids story as well, because I do write kids books as well. And at times I will do review on those books, and those books are available on Amazon, but of course, and any other platform, of course, that sells books. But if you are not a fan of reading, you can just come down here and listen for free. Okay, now, so again, on this book I'm going to talk about, basically in previous videos we discussed issues, situations that happens, for example, in the media, whether it's couples, relationships, and whatnot. And we discussed in extent of, what does trust mean to you. Basically, trust actually means different things to different people. In my other book, I also mentioned, I did touch on trust. And sometimes when you hear trust, people seem to think that it's maybe trust based on relationship, but what we don't realize is the fact that trust is actually huge. Trust is huge, and trust is something that touches on our everyday lives. But sometimes when you hear the word trust, the first thing that probably might or might not come in your mind is maybe trust in relationships, in marriages and all that. But trust is actually bigger than that. And I always say that we actually are surrounded by trust every day, but maybe it's not vocalized, or we don't really pay attention to things. I guess it becomes like a normal way of life, but we are actually in every step of every day. Okay, am I making sense? Okay, in our everyday lives, whether you're going to the grocery store, you're going to trust that, they've washed the fruits, even though you're going to wash them home. If you are buying food that is already cooked, you trust that, they did the right thing and it's not gonna make you sick. Whether you are, getting hired, the human resources might not tell you that, hey, we are hiring you because, we trust you. But there is an underlying communication that they might not say it, but because they actually hiring you based on your track record on your resume, but also when they follow up with your references. Even though it's not vocalized, but there is still an underlying notion somewhere that they can actually trust that you're going to get the job done. So it's not vocalized, but that is the underlying tone actually, even though it's not mentioned anywhere. So I find trust to be huge. And also in my previous video, and I think I did mention my first encounter with trust as a child, and how as a child I also like to tell stories, those that I can remember. Anytime we are in school, even though I was still young, I would like to stand on top of the chair with a book, and I will ask all the other pupils or kids to sit down so that they can listen to me telling a story, right? So from a very young age, I understood why trust is crucial, and if you break it, why someone cannot forget easily. But in a way, it is also a learning curve. And the reason I'm saying this is when I was younger, quite younger, even before I entered school, my mom dropped me with this relative, and she said she was coming back in 2 weeks. And she didn't show up until the next time I'm seeing her is when I'm already joining high school. I think I was already second year of high school. So that for me, trust, and then when she came back, I was still, I have already grown, but I was still a teenager, but I was still trying to understand trust. What does it mean to other people? That's why the title of this book is What Does Trust Mean to You? Does trust mean different things to different people? If you break the trust, do you apologize, or does apologizing makes it better? Anyways, you can just see the previous video. I don't want to waste time. But in this book on page 148, there's a story about someone who said that maybe we actually we should be the one trusting first, right? Instead of being in a situation where you want someone to trust you, how about you to start by trusting first? And the classic example I used in this book is, for example, if you are somewhere in downtown and you're taking the bus and you notice someone is carrying a lot of luggages and they are struggling, right? And then sometimes you will go and say, hey, hi, sorry, let me help you. And of course, most people, they will be they will be a little bit shocked that you want to help, but they will actually be grateful that you're helping. That is basically trusting in advance. So you're basically trying to lend a trust to a stranger without them asking for it. In other words, you are lending a hand because they need help. Now, in that scenario, they are trusting you with their luggages, even though they don't know you. And you, on the other hand, you're also trying to help them with their luggages, knowing that you don't know them, knowing that they are a stranger. So basically, trust in advance. So the other notion I'm saying in this book is, even though we are talking about, we still have a lot of stories in this book, actually. But since we are talking about trust, and we've talked on how people broke trust, and some people were betrayed either by friends, family, and whatnot. And trust becomes like a negative in a sense, because someone, for example, let me use my example. I like using personal examples. My example, for example, she said she's coming back in 2 weeks. As a kid, I still remembered 2 weeks. She said 2 weeks, but she didn't come back in 2 weeks. But when she said she was coming back in 2 weeks, I trusted her. But when she didn't come back in 2 weeks, I needed an explanation if I needed to maintain the trust. If that explanation will explain why I should uphold the trust, right? So in this scenario, in this book where I'm saying that maybe we need to start trusting first. How about we start trusting first? Instead of saying that, okay, I've known this person for a very long time, I'm loyal to them, I'm assuming that they are loyal to me, so therefore I trust them. How about we start trusting first? Giving the trust in advance, just saying, no, I'm going to trust this person in advance. So hopefully they'll trust me back. And part of the example I used in this book is, how about you find someone at the bus stop with heavy luggages, and they obviously need help, but they are not asking for your help. Instead, you jump in to help. But because the belonging is not yours, it is their luggages. You don't know them, they're a stranger. So you're trying to lend a trust in advance by giving a hand. And because they really need the help, even though they don't know you, they say yes for you to help. But they are also not comfortable completely because, you're a stranger, you guys don't know each other. But hopefully, after that encounter, you guys can, start chatting and whatnot, and that breaks the ice, right? Anyways, that's what I want to talk about today. And this is in page 146, actually. Page 146 of this book, on learning why maybe we need to start trusting first. How about we trust first? Instead of waiting to be trusted, how about you start by trusting first? Anyways, that is it for today, guys, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care. Bye.
Yes.